welcome everybody to the Lunacy Podcast. I am Tony, here with Dave, and we have a couple other people with us today as well. My friend Dave Stevens is also here, and my father-in-law Tom Elis is here as well to listen to the podcast and chime in. Just some background on these two. Dave Stevens is a soccer fan, right, Dave?
I am, yes, indeed.
Yep. So he knows a lot about soccer. My father-in-law Tom, however, is not a soccer fan. He is a football fan, not soccer, but American football. Right,
football, not football.
That's right.
Egg ball.
Yes, exactly. So they'll be here listening to the podcast and chiming in a little bit. Dave, let's start talking about the last. We have a couple games that we've had since our last podcast. First one was the Seattle Sounders game.
Yeah, being that it was so far separated from today, we won't really mention much about it.
And that we sucked.
Yeah, it was a bad game.
Yes.
The offense was bad. The defense was bad. Mm-hmm. Quintero wasn't even really that great to talk about.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's much to say. We dropped points against the worst team in the West.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
No.
That's about it.
All right. See, exactly. I mean, it was a crappy game. We're not even going to get into it. We sucked. Next game was the Houston Dynamo game, which we won 2-1. That one was a lot better than the Seattle game.
It was a lot better than Seattle, and we came back, which was even better.
Mm-hmm.
We still didn't look fantastic.
No.
The defense was pretty shaky. Offense wasn't spectacular, but they did well. Ibarra had a very good game, and I think he was the reason for our two best chances of the game. So that's a positive sign. With Finley out, I don't think I've really missed him. Ibarra's filled the role very well.
Yep.
And I think it's a positive sign that we can make it through the season. And
that's, with Finley being out, I was a little bit concerned about that since he gives you a little bit of speed on the outside there. But like I said, Ibarra has been able to fill in pretty well and has given him some opportunities. I know in that game they had 19 shots on goal. We only had 6.
Yeah. Which is amazing.
Quintero did get a penalty goal, which was nice, and Ibsen got pretty much the game winner in the 70th minute. So
yeah,
I mean, all in all, it was. They had 19 shots on goal. I mean, so that tells you our defense in that game was just terrible.
Yeah, and it's kind of a recurring theme, I suppose.
Yes,
might be for a while, and it's the way it goes. I guess if you're scoring goals, your defense can be a little shaky. Yeah. And it really what matters is if the ball hits back in the net. So they can have 25 shots on goal. If they don't go in, it's not an issue. Yeah, and I think our goaltender play in that last game was pretty good. Bobby had some excellent saves.
Yes.
And one thing about the Quintero PK, I noticed, I'm wondering if he has a side that he always shoots to, because the keeper picked the right side, but he placed it so perfectly
that it didn't matter.
It didn't matter, no. And it was maybe 2 feet above the keeper's arms, right on the edge. I mean, I think even another foot, and that would have hit the post. Well, so I think it's interesting.
And we talked about Quintero a lot in the last podcast, saying, well, he is the most talented person on this roster. And him taking a penalty kick, I think it's almost an automatic he's going to score a goal on a penalty kick. I mean, he's got the shots and the moves to do that on a weekly basis. So, and we've seen that for the last couple games now, that he is the best player on this team.
Yeah, hands down. He's heads and shoulders above everybody else.
Yep.
I think the positive to that is hopefully it will bring out some of the skill that we expect our other players to have.
Yeah.
And I think Ibarra is a good example.
Yeah. And we talked about this too in the last podcast. We were hoping that these guys can play up to, I'm not saying they're going to play up to the level of Quintero, but to play up to a level a little bit below him and maybe hopefully be able to help him out a little bit.
Right. Toward the end of that game, we finally got to see Alexi Gomez come in. I thought he looked pretty good. He wasn't playing the position he's supposed to. They brought him in as just an extra guy.
Yeah.
But his link-up, with Ibarra and Quintero looked really good. Mm-hmm. The Audi index for Major League Soccer said he was, I think, the worst player on the pitch. But, I think he obviously came in, played basically a central midfield role where he's supposed to be a left wing. He had some good link-ups. Yep. I mean, it was the first minutes he's played with Minnesota. I thought he looked pretty good.
Do you think he can be Quintero, obviously, let's go to a basketball reference here. I think I talked about this last time, was Quintero. Let's say Quintero's the Michael Jordan of this team, right? Can Gomez be the Scottie Pippen where he can play a secondary role and kind of feed Quintero a little bit and kind of they can play off each other a little bit? Can he be that guy?
I mean, he looks like he might be able to be. Once we kind of look at yesterday's game, I think his crossing was very good. I mean, he had the assist for the Ibarra goal. Or I think they scored an assist, did they?
I think so.
Since Ibarra shot and then took the rebound, wasn't it an assist? He had a few other good solid passes into the box. He's a little bit more agile than Sam was. And he's bigger, too, which is huge. I think he stands a few inches taller than most of the other players.
Yeah.
So I think he could be. We'll have to see. I would imagine he'll start against L.A. So I think Wednesday we're going to have a good picture of how he fits in, especially with a very talented L.A. team.
Yes.
I want to mention Ibson because his goal was spectacular. A back heel between the defender's legs.
Yeah.
Jeff Reuter had an interview with him, which by the way, if you don't have a subscription to The Athletic, that interview in of itself is reason enough to get a subscription.
Yes.
It was pretty interesting. He's never sat down with anyone before to do an interview. So to kind of get an idea of who Ibson is kind of fun. But he was asked if that was if he meant to do that goal. He said, well, if it would have been with his left foot, it wouldn't have worked. If it would have been with his right foot, it would have worked. If he would have been a second earlier, it wouldn't have worked. So his only option was his back heel.
Yep.
And I still think it was sheer luck. I think he was probably the ball's coming in. For God's sake, I'm just going to back heel, see what happens.
Just throw it out there.
And there's a meme floating around of him where the look on his face after that goal is hilarious because you can totally see he's just kind of like, I don't know, it worked.
It worked, it went in. Well, it's all that matters.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, he was terrible in that game.
Yes.
I mean, aside from that goal, I think he was possibly the worst player on the team.
Ibson, to me, and I don't know if you agree with this, I think he's kind of the emotional kind of barometer on that team.
Yeah.
Whereas when you see Ibson, he gets upset about pretty much any play that happens.
Yeah, even good ones.
Even good ones. I mean, he is the one who is always in the ref's face about everything, anything. I mean, he is the guy. He's trying to take a leadership role, and I guess I would say he is kind of the leader on this team.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's got the most experience of anyone.
Yeah.
Getting to play in Champions League in Europe for two different teams. I mean, he's played against the best teams, the best players in the world in the last 10 years.
So he knows how to do things.
Yeah. Again, though, I'm not going to give anything away from that interview. I think people should read it. Of course, you need a subscription to read it. But
The Athletic is I have a subscription myself, and it is even the baseball stuff, the football stuff, everything is just fantastic. The Athletic pulled a bunch of great writers from different spots onto their site, and I'm telling you, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of years with ESPN.
I would agree with that. Their local coverage is really good. I haven't looked into too much yet, but some of the stuff I've seen from Chicago is pretty good. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's not that much money.
What's it like? I think it's like, what, $3 a month? Or is it?
Well, right now, if you go through that interview, I think it's like $3 a month.
Yeah, $3 a month. Yeah, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay that than pay ESPN.
Yeah.
Because their coverage lately has been terrible.
Yeah, it has.
So, last game, which was yesterday, which, Dave, you were at.
Was
Dave Stevens, you were there?
No, I was not.
You were not there.
just
You wanted to go there,
I was
but
there.
you
I
could not
tried
be.
desperately to go, and
You
I
tried
couldn't
desperately
talk
to go.
anybody into going.
Yeah.
and had you asked me 3 hours earlier, I would have had a ticket.
There you go. See? He's always a hookup.
It's my fault. Yeah, I wasn't ambitious.
Yeah. So yesterday they had a game, and they won 1-0, and again they look shaky all game. You know, when it came down to the last 20 minutes of the game, where you thought that the team, what was it, the Vancouver, you thought they were going to score. I mean, they had a lot of chances to score at the end of that game,
They did.
and we were down to 10 men because of the toy situation, which you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He was really getting roughed up. Vancouver's a very big team. Mm-hmm. I think I had read somewhere that they're one of the tallest teams in the league.
They've grown big up in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, I guess. I don't know that any of them are actually. But, he was getting muscled around a lot. He's a rookie. I mean, he's only 19.
Yeah.
He got frustrated, reacted. It's not, I mean, you see it in every sport. Mm-hmm. And he got caught. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was pretty, I guess I wouldn't say it was pretty obvious. I saw the play. I saw the guy fall. I just thought it was a collision. Mm-hmm. And they didn't even show a replay in the stadium, so you had no idea. So once I got home and I actually saw the highlight of it, I was like, yeah, okay. He very clearly.
They didn't show a replay in the stadium at all?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Maybe they didn't want to have to admit that it was an obvious red card.
Yeah, maybe. And the thing with soccer, and I know a lot of people listening to this are soccer fans, so you know this. If you get a red card in a game, not only are you down a player for that game, you cannot play in the next game.
Right.
So you're kind of screwing yourself for the rest of the game. Unlike hockey, where you get a major, it's like 5 minutes. So you have 5 minutes, you're out, and then you come back in. No big deal. But a red card in a game of soccer, especially if you get it, let's say you got it in the first 10, 20 minutes, your team is down one player for the rest of the game. Yeah. It totally screws you up. So I understand he's 19. I realize that his emotions got the better of him, but a very stupid play. And I'm hoping that Adrian Heath kind of goes to him and says, look, dude, can't do that ever again. You got to keep your emotions in check.
So after the game, I saw that Adrian said that he told him there are, depending on the injuries of 2 or 3 players, he may not see time for a while.
Oh,
so
geez.
I mean, he's treating it pretty seriously, which is good.
Good, yeah.
He's going to learn his lesson, and maybe he won't do it again. The biggest issue with that, though, is he's going to miss next game.
Yep. Against
LA. And, oh, God, we have Ramirez with a hammy. Mm-hmm. We have Dinladi with an ankle that wasn't supposed to be serious, and now he hasn't even been on the bench for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
So we no longer have a forward available.
So what are we going to do?
I mean, my logical response would be to move Quintero to a forward position. Mm-hmm. However, then you have to move. I guess you'd have to move Ibarra into the middle.
Yeah.
And you've opened the right wing, and we don't have any more wingers because we traded our last one away.
Yep. Yeah.
So, I mean, France Pangpop played against New York last week. Adrian said that he looks like he's finally acclimating to life in the U.S. Mm-hmm. He was on the bench yesterday.
Yeah.
So I guess he's going to play right. He's actually left wing. We've talked about that enough.
Mm-hmm.
But he's played on the right.
How many left wingers do we have now, Dave?
Well, now we have one.
See, we needed all those left wingers. Yeah. That was the problem.
We had 5.
We talked about this earlier in the year. It was like, we have all these left wingers. What are we going to do with them? And now we're down to 1.
Yeah.
See, we need the depth.
I guess it made sense. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would imagine you'll see Quintero up top, Gomez on the left, Ibarra center, Pangop on the right. And then across the back, it'll be what I think we saw yesterday. Unless, of course, Miller left because of an injury.
Well,
we don't know.
Let's get into the whole Miller. So they made a